Not sure what I'm going to title this one, but I'm sure before this airs I will have a title for it. But it's just been heavy on my heart, dealing with things personally, with people that are around me, and hearing stories from some of you guys in regards to being distracted. For some reason, there's a distracted energy that's floating around, and some of you are a little bit miserable in your situation. Your current living situation is not good, or your job situation is not good, and it's because you're distracted. There are other things that you could be doing that's productive, other places that you can be, other people that you could associate, but for some reason you are distracted. And it's because you're probably tied down or saddled down with something that somebody else presented to you. So I just say this. This is the time where you need to reconnect with your higher power. This is the time. If you are in a living situation or in a job situation or in a school situation where you cannot focus on what you want as an individual, if you're not comfortable in that environment and you're not sure exactly what direction to go, you are under the power of this distracted energy, and it's making you tired, it's making you confused, and it's making you feel helpless. And you can't even think of what direction to go. You don't even know what step to take next. You know what you want to do, but you feel spiritually bound and helpless, like you can't do anything because of a situation that has been thrown in your lap by someone else. And unfortunately, it's someone who was close to you. Let me give you one example. Maybe some of you can relate. Let's say that you're involved in a job situation, and it's you're in a location, maybe a small town that doesn't have that many good paying jobs. Maybe one or two industries or one or two companies provide revenue for the residents of the town. And now you have a family that you have to deal with, or you may have a sick relative that you have to deal with, or you may have a family member that's in need. You have obligations. Now, of course, your family is your family. That's going to be your responsibility until the end of time. However, you feel saddled down because you want to move somewhere else, or maybe you want to start your own business, but you're so exhausted from working 10, 12 hours a day and coming home to put food on the table that you can't think for yourself. And when you come home, there's probably a lot of noise and unrest. Maybe you have a difficult mate that you're dealing with, or a difficult family member that is there with you. Someone that doesn't appreciate your efforts. Someone who just wants to come to you with their hand out, or they have a list of demands at the door as soon as you walk in it. So when you go to bed at night and you put your head down, you don't go to sleep. You literally pass out because you're exhausted. Just to turn around and get up and do it again the next 5 to 6 days out of the week. You don't have time mentally or spiritually to do anything. And in the back of your mind, over time, you brainwashed yourself to believe that you're doing the right thing in the name of God, Jehovah, Allah, Yahweh. But in the back of your mind, you know that you are not happy. You had ideas and plans before all of these other situations approached you. As I stated before, your family was your family, and you had ideas of how you were going to live your life and take care of your family, but all of these other situations with all these other relatives who are in your life have fallen on your doorstep. There are times where we do have to kind of put our dreams aside just for a little while. But understand, it's just for a little while. And there are times in this life where we become overwhelmed. I fully understand that. But it doesn't have to be a permanent situation. Maybe that situation of you being placed in a tough position is a signal that you should think of a more creative way to live your life. Maybe you should start thinking of other ways for you to make your dreams come true. Other ways of you accomplishing your goals. Deprogram some of the ways that you were taught as far as living your life. See, what you can do is start learning new skills. But see, you're already exhausted mentally and physically at the end of the day. I get that. So the first thing you need to do is make a reconnection with your higher power. Make a reconnection. Start praying more. Start meditating more. Take the first 5 minutes out of your day, or the last few minutes before you go to bed, or both. Or even if you pull into the parking lot of that job, get there 5 minutes early. Reconnect. Make that spiritual connection. Invite that spirit back into your life. Ask for a more active role to help you. Ask for additional strength and clarity. Start doing that for yourself, because you'll start changing your tired energy. You'll start to feel a little bit more. You'll start to feel more lifted up. You'll find yourself making more time to do some of the things that you placed on the back burner, and you also find yourself making some pretty hard decisions. The relative that you're taking care of, okay, you're taking care of them. If it's not a health-related situation and this is someone who just can't get their junk together, well, then it's time for them to get their junk together. It's going to happen eventually. You're not in a position to cover someone who's grown. Establish some boundaries. If they insist on staying in there, set up in writing how they're going to contribute to the household if they insist on staying there. Now, one of two things is going to happen when you come to them with this list. Either they're going to wake up and they're going to step up to the plate and take on some more responsibility so you won't have to work 60, 70 hours a week, or they're going to find their way out of there. They're going to find a way to get out. Either way, it's going to be less of a burden on you. And for the other, and let's say you had a person that brought a situation as soon as they came in the door before you got involved with them. A situation you didn't know anything about. Now, I know things happen in relationships where you come across obstacles. I get that. But if it's a situation where that person just comes and dumps something in your lap, first of all, that's disrespectful. Dumping something in somebody else's lap just because they say they love you without giving them any respect or consideration or warning, that's not love. That's disrespectful. So what you need to do is you need to sit down and iron out the situation and let that person know, okay, this situation needs to end. You need to find another way or another means of getting this taken care of. We need to set up a timeline as to when we're going to get this problem out of our house. Get this situation resolved so we can move on, because I'm exhausted. Put your foot down. Set boundaries. I don't understand what's wrong with people nowadays. They act like they don't want to set boundaries. They don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. But let me tell you something. If it's a situation where somebody hurt your feelings and somebody dogged you out, you mean to tell me you become so-called spiritually minded, which you're really being a doormat. But anyway, you're so spiritually minded, you mean to tell me you're not going to stand up for yourself and you're not going to set any boundaries because you don't believe it, that your faith allows it. I don't care. Them people that are telling you to sit there and put up with it and that you're supposed to suffer and everything, they're not in your house. They don't feel what you feel. They don't feel the tiredness in their body. They don't pay your bills. There's a time in life, people, where you've got to look out for your own situation. And people want to say, well, you're being selfish. You're being selfish. Well, you know what? What good is you having a family and people depend on you if you ain't worth nothing? How are you going to be an effective father or mother or son or anything else if you can't even take care of yourself? How are you going to bring someone else into a situation where you don't even have yourself taken care of? I hear people all the time talking about this other person. They spend more time talking about their son or their daughter or their significant other than they do talking about how they're going to straighten up their own life. They know they need to go back to school and get that high school diploma. They know they need to get a better paying job so they can live in a safer neighborhood. They know that they need to start saving money so they can be able to move on. They know they need to spend more time with their children. They know they need to put the needle down. They know they need to put the bottle down. They know these things, but anytime that you talk to them, they talking about the girlfriend and the boo and the husband and the wife and the son and the daughter. They're talking about somebody else and what they're doing and not doing anything to fix their own situation. What good is that person to anybody at that point? They're hurting themselves. They're living in a confused spirit. So yes, it is being selfish. But see, once you get yourself together, then you can effectively be a beacon of light for other people. You can work on behalf of other people. You can be an example to other people. You can have the energy to help people. You can't help anyone if you're a hot ass mess. So get off of that business about worrying about if anybody thinks you're selfish, and that's another thing. Quit worrying about what people think. They're just as flawed as you are. It doesn't matter how much money they have. It doesn't matter how much education they have. The only difference between them and you is that they may have a bigger bank account and a few letters behind their name, but blood runs through their veins just like blood runs through yours. So do yourself a favor. If you're in a situation where you're overwhelmed, take inventory of your life. See what things are burdening you down, where you can't move on the way you want to move on. Every single one of us has a vision. Every single one of us has a gift. And we're supposed to exercise those gifts to serve the world. And if somebody or something comes along and tries to throw this roadblock to prevent you from doing it, first of all, it's a test to determine whether or not you're really interested in exercising those gifts. And second of all, you need to understand that that is coming from a negative spirit. It's coming from someone who probably has not identified their own gifts and probably doesn't have a gift of their own. So they figure if they saddle you down with a situation or a problem that they know they could have handled themselves or could have straightened out themselves, they're doing it out of spite and malice. They do not love you. Anyone who does not support my vision does not support me. Anyone who does not support me trying to help people by sharing my experiences does not support me. They do not care about me. Anyone who chooses to ridicule the fact that I am doing it, you definitely do not care about me. And this applies to everyone within earshot who knows my name. That's the attitude you need to take. Once you find your mission in this life, you stick to it no matter what. I don't care if it's from the back of a car or a hospital bed. You exercise your spiritual gifts no matter what, because situations like this are going to pop up on more than one occasion. You're going to have someone who comes along in a pretty package that is going to try to derail the whole thing because they don't have anything going on for themselves. And that's what it boils down to. They don't want you focusing on your attention on a higher calling and helping people because, first of all, most of them don't know what a higher calling is, and they haven't exercised their gifts because they don't have a strong spiritual connection like you do. It all boils down to jealousy. They never got themselves together. But they see that you got yourself together and they figure by osmosis, if they associate themselves with you, that they'll get it together. Shit don't work that way, people. So you're sitting here many months later, years later possibly, weighed down because you're working 60, 70 hours a week to help to support a situation in your house that you are not satisfied with. And it could be anything. So you're working to pay a mortgage in a house that you're not comfortable in, and you're paying utilities in, that you put your head down in. You're not comfortable for it, but you're working and slaving every single week to pay for it. You're paying for your misery. So the first thing you need to do is start taking some time out for yourself. Get with your higher power. Ask for clarity and strength so you can move on. Because no one who tries to live a decent life should have to suffer like that. It's suffering. I don't care what doctrine tells you. If a person works hard, they're entitled to a reward. If they treat people well, they're entitled to be respected. They're entitled to be living in abundance, peace, and prosperity. They are entitled to those things if they are doing right. Don't let anybody punk you into thinking otherwise. So with that, I bid you all a good day.